What is up? How's it going? So Saturday, I got top 24 at the Lubbock Regional, and this is the deck profile. I played Sinful Spoils Fire King with only 2 bonfires. Also, I burnt my finger pretty bad last night, unrelated to Yu-Gi-Oh! But anyway, yeah, we're gonna do a deck profile, and let's jump right in. Alright, so we've got, oh, thank you. So we've got everything here. I'm going to go through the main deck, and then we'll go through the extra. So this is a 41 card deck, and after playtesting, I played around with quite a few different things. I'm going to go through and then let you know the changes that I think I'm going to make. So first off, for the Fire King engine, we've got the 1 Ponix, 1 Garunix, 1 Arvada, and we played 3 Kirin. I think I might be cutting this down to 2. It's hard to decide, but this is the monster lineup I played Saturday. Like this. And then of course we've got 1 island and 1 sanctuary. And that was everything Fire King that I played there. Only these 8 cards. And we've got our Snake Eye stuff. We've got 3 Ash, 2 Poplar, 1 Oak, 1 Flamberge, and then 2 Black Witch. I debated going to 3 Black Witch, mostly because I only had 2 bonfires, and I wanted to be able to get to more engine. But 2 was really good. It felt great, and I don't think I would change any of this. And then we had 3 Wanted, 1 Original, 1 Temple. This card is insane. This card allows you to do a lot of things. It also is great for if you open a Black Witch, or you maybe already have an Original. It's great to be able to add it off your Populace. So this was really good. And then these are proxies here. Shout out to George, my buddy from Locals, who let me borrow 2 Bonfire. I couldn't have topped without him. And so these are those 2 Bonfire. Like I said, these are proxies for it, but I only ran 2 because I couldn't get my hands on 3. Obviously, if you can get your hands on 3, run 3. It's better. Then we'll go to kind of all the non-engine that I ran. So I main decked 3 Triple Tactics Talent. This card was insane. It won me a lot of games, and it was really good. Sometimes I would side one of them out depending on my opponent. I definitely went up against some people that didn't run hand traps, and so I took this out. But for the most part, this was insane, and it won me games. Then we ran the 1 Called By. It was my 41st card. I decided to throw it in, and I'm super glad that I did. I also ran 1 Monster Reborn in the main deck. This was really good in mirror matches. So I had 3 mirror matches out of my 8 matchups, and this came up in 2 of them and was insane. One of them, I summoned a guy's princess against him on my first turn when I was going second. And obviously that's bonkers. And then in game 3 of another mirror match, I used this, and he didn't have a princess engrave. He wasn't able to get there, but I used it on his Garunix, so that when I destroyed some of his fire monsters, he didn't have Garunix engrave. It was super good. It's also good sometimes if you open it and you get hand trapped, or you get nibbed, or something happens and you aren't, it'll help you recover. So these are just non-engine spells. Then this is the hand trap lineup that I main decked. 3 Ash, 3 Nib, 3 Ghost Bell, and 3 Imperm. So I decided to run Ghost Bell over Droll, and it was pretty good. I think going forward, I might swap that back. I might main deck the Droll over the Ghost Bell. Ghost Bell wasn't bad. It came up a lot, and it did stuff, but I think Droll would have come up just as much. I just felt like Droll wasn't as impactful, and so I decided to switch it out for this. The only time this was more impactful than Droll would have been is when I used it against a Flamberge Dragon activating in the graveyard to summon back the 2 level 1s. It did well, but I don't think it did better than Droll would have done in this slot. But that's the main deck, that's the 41. The rest of these hand traps, super good. Ash Blossom was very good, especially if you use it at the right time. Nib was probably the most powerful hand trap of my deck, hands down. It did really, really well, and I definitely am going to keep running it. And then, of course, Imperm is the best hand trap, mostly because it doesn't play into talents, and I was scared all day of playing into talents. So, that was the main deck. That's the 41 that I ran. Jumping in here to let you guys know that our giveaway for this original Solemn Judgment is still up. Let me make that bigger for you. So we are currently doing this giveaway for this Metal Raiders Solemn Judgment Ultra Rare. All you got to do to enter is like the video, be subscribed, subscribe to this video or just already be subscribed, and then comment anything in the video and you'll be entered to win. And we will be randomly selecting one of those people who does those things in the next video, which should be this upcoming weekend. So yeah, make sure to enter. And let's get on with the deck profile. So for the extra deck here, we've got our ones, our Link Rebo, of course, mandatory. This card comes up all the time, super good. And then I ran Relinquished Anima. Relinquished Anima, a lot of people think that it's not good because the good players play around it, which is true. A lot of times, good players will play around this. But first off, a ton of people will forget about this card and they won't play around it, and you can take games with it. The other thing is that even if your opponent is like the best player in the world, they can't always play around it. So like in the mirror match, for instance, you're going to end up in a state where you're doing your combo, your opponent already has their Garunix engraved, they have their Princess engraved, they've got all of their stuff rolling, and they are definitely going to have more than 3 monster slots full. And at that point, they're probably going to be playing into Anima. And so it's basically just free spot removal as you're going a Link climb, especially if your Link Rebo is already in the graveyard. And it's an extra monster to be able to easily go into the Dark Charmer. So I really liked this card. It came up a lot and it was really good. Link 2's here, we've got IP Masquerena. Pretty self-explanatory. I actually used this a lot less at this tournament than I expected to. Mostly because of the Earth Golem. I kept wanting to set up boards and not play into Super Poly, and so I would end up not having a Cyberse out. But of course, she's really good, especially if you get Drolled. She's like mega good because it's like the best thing you can set up. Her with Flamberge and an Ambler Whale or something on your field under Droll. Anyway, and then we've got SP Little Knight, best Link 2 ever, obviously. And then we've got our Fire Charmer, our Dark Charmer, our Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, all that stuff, pretty much mandatory, all those Link 2s. Then I played Doolittle Chimera. This card was pretty good, so it enables you to do a lot of things that your opponent may not be expecting. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep going with it. I might switch it out for Nightmare Phoenix for that extra back row removal. But it was good, and you can do a lot of good plays. So a lot of times in game 2, if I was afraid of something like Soul Release, I could go into this guy and get either my Garunix or Kieran back, and then keep linking, go into Princess, do all the stuff, and then use Sunlight Wolf at some point to get back either whichever one I didn't get back, and you can use, it's almost like having a second Sunlight Wolf. The other thing that's really good is you can summon him back with Arvada, and it's just like an extra body for link climbing. That's a link 2, you know, instead of just a regular monster. So it was good. I might swap it out. Then we ran the 2 Princess. Promethean Princess is insane. It opens this deck to do a plethora of things that it couldn't do before. And I ran 2, and I really liked 2. I'll probably keep running 2. Ambler Whale, super good with Princess. In the other Link 4s I ran Apo. Apo is really, really good. It was super good to set up first turn boards that don't play into Super Poly, if I thought maybe my opponent was running it. And then we ran the Raging Phoenix and the Zealantis for the OTK. And I also ran Underworld Goddess. I ran this because I was afraid of decks using things like Chaos Angel, or maybe if I saw a random Pearly or a random Raid Raptor. Any decks that set up some crazy tower. I had this card, I had it at the ready, never ended up summoning it, but it's good. So, like I said, going forward, I might switch out Doolittle Chimera, I might switch out Underworld Goddess. A lot of different cards that could go in for them. The extra deck is very tight, and so this is what I ran Saturday though, and I topped with it. It was good. Let's go into the side deck that I ran, which I barely saw. I ran the 3 Droll. This got sided in a lot of different matchups, depending what it was. This was really good in a flu match. You know, certain decks lose to it still. It's a good card. Then I've got the 3 Cosmic Cyclone. This is the side deck card that I saw the most of, and it's really good. You can get rid of another Fire King Island. You can get rid of all kinds of random floodgates you might see. It's a good card. I almost always sided it in every single match. So then I ran 3 Artifact Lancia. I was afraid of Cosmo. Cosmo. I did not face any Cosmo. I was afraid of Kashtira matchups. I was afraid of Fluunderies. I was afraid basically of any shifter deck. I never saw this even when I sided it in, and I didn't have a problem with any of those matchups, so I probably will not side it again. Soul Release, another card that I sided that I didn't see, and so it didn't really do anything. Hypothetically, it's really good, especially in the mirror match, but never saw it. Solemn Judgment, I did see this, and I wished every time that I saw it that it was a Solemn Strike, and so I'm gonna run Solemn Strike instead. And then I also sided the Little Kirin and the Scatter Shot for time, and the one game that it came up, I opened a Bonfire and a Kirin, a big Kirin, and I didn't realize that Scatter Shot was a Pyro, and so I drew, and I was devastated. But like I said, I still topped, but 100% I should have had that win because Scatter Shot is a Pyro. So I think that this is like a no-brainer to run this card for time. You could also run Agave Dragon. You could run the Ghost Girl, but I think this is good, and I didn't want to have to side extra deck stuff in, to be honest. But good time card. So that's my deck as a side. That's what I ran Saturday, and I topped, and got my invite, and I'm pumped. So yeah, that is the deck that I played with. It was a lot of fun, and I think I could have done a lot better if I just hadn't misplayed a couple of times. You know, I had some pretty bad misplays that cost me, and my final record ended up being X2-1. So yeah, and if you're wondering more, my matchups were, I went against 3 mirror matches, a flu, a cash, a rescue ace, and there was a guy playing a virtual world transaction rollback Mayakashi deck where he would use Beatrice to send the Mayakashi trap card to the grave, and then, you know, use it with transaction rollback to stop the opponent from summoning monsters. That was actually my draw, where in game 3, it was time during my main phase, and we both had 8,000, and I had Bonfire, and Kieran didn't realize Scattershot was a pyro, and so that was my draw. But yeah, love to know what you guys think, and definitely comment about that giveaway that we'll be giving away next video. All right, and Delaney, did you have anything that you wanted to add before the video ends?